Welcome back to Vinyl Friday, where I go through my records in alphabetical order like a big nerd and talk about the things that I love about them. The Abbey Road journey has concluded, so we're going to resume the normal format where I listen to one song from each album, regrettably. So today we're looking at Let It Be. And this one was surprisingly difficult to choose a song from, because the tone of it isn't cohesive, because you've got all of these scrappy jams like Dig It. But you've also got these extremely saccharine, lush arrangements that Phil Spector has done on songs like The Long and Winding Road. Also, I think a lot of the scrappy stuff and the ad-libbed bits makes it really easy to forget that this is an album that has Across the Universe and I've Got a Feeling and Let It Be. There's some really solid Beatles classics on this one. So ordinarily, my pick would easily be Across the Universe. But I think that the steaming pile of Carl bullshit that Phil Spector wreaked upon it is criminal, and I think it spoils one of the Beatles' best songs. There, I said it. However, I'd just like to make a quick mention of the line, "Limitless undying love which shines around me like a million suns and calls me on and on across the universe," as probably my favorite lyric in all of the Beatles. You know, sorry, Elementary Penguin singing Hare Krishna. So it was very difficult to choose a song. A, because I really like most of them, and B, because the standout track for me has been Defiled by Phil Spector. In conclusion, I'm a Let It Be naked girl through and through. Let it be naked girl through and through, but I don't unfortunately have that on vinyl, so we're gonna go with this one. And on that note, I still haven't chosen a song. Give me a second. I'm gonna choose Dig a Pony. Let's turn it up. Here we go. False start. It's a really cool riff. The Beatles have done riffs before, obviously. You've got Day Tripper and Paperback Writer. But this one's really cool. The first time I ever heard this song was actually the anthology version. There's no rhythm behind it, so there aren't the cymbal crashes that... And so I thought that it was in 4/4, and it wasn't anywhere near as interesting, because that would have it go... And then I thought that it just switched to 3/4 time once we got to the verses. So they've got this riff in the beginning and it sounds like it's sort of standalone, it doesn't exist in the song. You're kind of like, well, that riff was cool, but what was it for? And the answer is, it's in the middle of the chorus. And also the outro of the song. So the riff isn't a standalone riff, it's the chorus. Also, I think the solo's scrappy as well. This part is really cool. It reminds me of, what's the Red Hot Chili Peppers solo? Scar tissue that I wish you... I've always seen them as sort of sister solos. It feels like John Frusciante kind of borrowed from George Harrison on that one. I think the lyrics are a little bit throwaway, which John kind of did sometimes, but they're still fun. In this section of the verse, I think he's singing in a really impassioned way, especially I Told You So. And we've got the final chorus, and then we repeat the riff as per the beginning. So the song is sort of bookended by this riff, and then it just stops, right? Song's done. Thanks, John. Why did I choose this song? Maybe because Let It Be and The Long and Winding Road and Across the Universe even, are so well known. I can't listen to them with fresh ears anymore. I like Dig a Pony because I think it's kind of lo-fi. There's nothing really ornate happening with it, and so I think it embodies the spirit of the project that they were trying to do, which was to get back to their roots. I think Dig a Pony does that. It's kind of messy, it's not very pretty, it's sort of got an indie rock flavor to it. One last point before I go is that I prefer the anthology version of One After 9 and 9, and I think it's Paul's fault. Because in the anthology version, he does a kind of, he does this sort of classic frenetic rock and roll bass line. Whereas in this version, he does bing, 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 bing. and it completely changes the feel of the song. Okay, so I'm sort of cheating because I'm talking about a couple of songs here, but just quickly. So here we go. Ding, 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 ding. This version has this sort of a vibe, whereas the other one has this sort of a vibe. And I prefer this sort of a vibe to this sort of a vibe. I think it's a better song when it's faster. The end. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me again. I look forward to seeing you next week. We haven't quite finished with the Beatles yet, but we are getting there. I've only got 2 Beatles albums left. Spoiler alert! I hope that you have a lovely weekend, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week.